We're live.
Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to call the order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty. Well, thanks for everybody coming down here today for our first public meeting. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions on the agenda?
Steve, could I add this? I don't know if you want to call it just a good of the order, but I just want to talk a little bit about the sports complex. I've got some preliminary numbers and some things I'd like to share.
Where would you want to?
Could we insert that give you some time during the marketing committee report?
That'd be fine. Yeah, it's under the market, but that'd be fine. I brought a little sign here to kind of show you guys and just want to give you some good things.
We'll just put that in there.
Okay.
I don't think we need a motion on that. Since it's under that topic. Sounds good.
Then I want to add, under the budget committee, we need to do our final vote on the members of that committee. We did not do that last
We
week.
didn't complete that.
Okay, we had the first, but we didn't have the second, right?
Right.
Okay, well, we can do that as well. Any other additions or corrections or deletions? Need a motion to
Motion.
second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. Let's go ahead with the financial report, Wes, if you want to do that.
Do the minutes.
You got-
Oh, wait a minute, we got to do the minutes first, I'm sorry. The approval from the minutes from June the 12th. The only thing that I saw on there was that on the budget committee, we had a first approval, but we didn't have a second approval we didn't vote on, so that's what we're going to do today, but I didn't see anything else. Anybody have any additions or corrections on the June 12th?
Nope.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 12th minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All, March 13th, 2025 minutes.
Yeah, I went through this and I know I was supposed to send it to Cindy, but I got quite a few additions to it.
The 13th. Can you
Yes.
please send that to me, Chris, and I'll work with you on that.
Yeah, it might be easier for you. I just sat down. There's a bunch of notes if that works too, whichever. But yeah, I just got quite a few. There are just some things where it says audience interrupts. When I went back and watched some things, they raise their hand or called on. I don't call that interruption. I don't.
Maybe that's not what she was referring to.
Well, that's what it says is audience interruption multiple times in here. Like interrupt. And even one of them was like two ladders. Jenna raised her hand talking about the hiring process, and she explained it. She's referred to as audience interrupts. I thought, man, I just don't like calling the taxpayers that were interrupt.
Chris, I've
Especially,
asked you for 2
Raise
months
their
to
hand.
please send me anything you need changed or want changed, and I'll be glad to work with you on that.
okay. Well, I've got some things, so I'll get with you on that. All right. So we'll just have to, table those. The 10th ones, I don't know where they went, but they're good for me. Or the minutes I printed was April 17th, and we got April 10th in here, so I'm not sure which is the right date. Do we know? Can you look?
Chris, could you get with her right away? I mean, work with her.
I meant to sooner. It's just, there's been a lot of my play here
I
lately.
need to put this to rest,
Busy time.
and we vote on it. If you want to vote no, but, so anyway.
Okay,
The 17th was the third Thursday in April. The 10th was the second Thursday. So it looks like the correct date's probably the 10th.
Was that the one we canceled for the flooding, though? I moved it.
Yes.
So it would be the 17th, right? Is this wrong? The agenda should have
Well,
said
the
17th.
agenda's wrong.
Okay.
so it's the 17th.
You know what? I shouldn't even speak because I wasn't here that time.
Well,
I was traveling.
I think, Steve couldn't get here because he was flooded in, literally.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, that's
So let me reiterate here. So the March 13th, Cindy and Chris, you guys
We-
get together and work that out, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
that'll be tabled till the next meeting.
Right.
And
Yes,
then the April 10th should be changed to April 17th.
Just on the agenda, the minutes, they're correct.
The minutes are correct.
On the 13th, I'll make a motion to table that until.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. April 17th minutes, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimous, okay. All right, Wes, you're up, buddy.
Financial reports, so the big things this month are the Ed Jones assets. We were finally able to get all the different documents on that and show the dates of transfer. I went through, I don't say I didn't all of
They
it.
want you to come up here and speak so you can put the speaker here. So, all right.
So the big change is the Ed Jones statements. I won't say I did an audit of it, but I went back through and verified that the amounts that moved in March at the beginning actually hit the new accounts in the name of the CRVP, and then went back and there was some residual interest that came out that he then transferred over in late March, early April. So that's the big change on here. We finally got the dates confirmed of when all that happened. So you'll see that as grant income. If you have the CVP, P&L, I didn't pull those, but that those amounts on the grant income versus the grant expense side of things will tie out between the org and the commission, I'll say, okay? So that's the big change. You'll see that reflected on the CRVP balance sheet this month. And then the other thing that I had to comment on was the Trust Indiana account. All that is set up and ready to go. I just need that cash management policy. If you guys have a chance to approve that today, then we'll start moving those funds over and kind of doing a sweep as we see that hit the account.
What's the rate on that right now? Do you know what the rate is?
I don't offhand. It
4.5?
was 4 something the last I saw. Yeah.
The Edward E. Jones account was 4.25, and there was 433,000 in there, and 42,000, and then there was some cash.
Yes.
42,000, from what I understand, comes available in August, and then the others is March of 26.
Yes, they've got those invested over the longer term on those.
Right. So
Yes.
is that when we're going to transfer them when they?
That's
come?
up to you guys. If you want to keep it with Ed Jones and invest those, or if you want to move them out, move to Trust Indiana, whatever you want to do on that piece of it, when those mature, you can choose to do that. You can, I don't say, I believe you can take some of those out early.
Yes.
You just sacrifice any interest earned up to that point.
Right, and the other thing is when they mature, if I'm not mistaken, you got 10 days grace period to move or to renew, or it reverts to a ridiculously low.
That's with the banks. Ed, I don't know if that's the same for Ed Jones or
Okay.
not. The banks are really bad about that. I will say that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
This,
The banks are notorious for doing that, yes. But Ed Jones, I'm not sure if they reinstate, but those typically require a phone call before they automatically reinvest.
Okay.
At least that's with the financial advisor I've worked with, that's typically how that process works.
This clarifies last month's meeting that it was, it looked like we lost money, but we didn't in that account, those CDs, because we don't see the effects until they actual mature.
So Ed Jones tracks it. That is
Yeah.
one. So if you hold a CD or a T-bill or anything like that until maturity,
Yeah.
then you know exactly what you're going to get paid out at that date.
Yeah.
But they track if the interest rates drop or interest rates go up, they track the volatility on those throughout the course of the life of that,
Yeah.
that bond or that bill.
Yeah.
So that's what you're seeing. And there was actually a loss in the month of
Yeah,
April
so-
because of that. It's never much,
Yeah.
but it will ebb and flow slightly as interest rates move. But just know that if you hold it until maturity, you're going to get your
Yeah.
exact return that they quoted you.
Yeah, I'd like to see us just wait till maturity and then we talk about it, see what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
You know, instead of.
Yeah, I think you can
spending
give them
time today.
standing instructions not to reinvest though, if that's a
Right.
concern. And then
Yeah.
they can choose, you guys can
Okay.
choose to move it out or do whatever you want to do with it at that
Yeah.
point.
Well, we got to keep in mind that there's 42,000 that comes due in August, and there's $500 in cash, so we need to move that in September.
Yeah.
Or whenever it comes due.
And then, like I said, we've got the Trust Indiana account set up. So that's basically our sweep account, for lack of a better term. Once we get that cash management policy approved and get that
Is
signed,
this is the cash management?
Yeah.
management.
Who do you need to sign that?
the board just has to approve it because it's a
We-
policy, and then whoever wants to
We
sign
need
it
to
is
make,
adopted.
or somebody needs to make a motion to
Yep.
approve that.
And that's the one I sent you guys last meeting. So I think you hopefully, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions on it. But basically just outlines the different types of accounts that we have and sets a policy. When I wrote that, I wrote it in a manner that sets a policy of either the budget or a trailing 6 months is kind of what we look at for average expenses. So once the budget's adopted, that's the more common approach. So we'll look at an average run rate on the budget. And then we'll keep 1 month of cash in the checking account, we'll sweep everything else out, basically.
Right, so it says 1/12 of your operating budget.
Yes.
whatever that is.
Yep, so that way we've got money there. It's next day transfers, so it's almost, I mean, it's real quick if we get money back out.
Does anybody have any questions? Because I read over it too. I mean, since you're up, do we want to have any questions on this, or do we want to put up a motion to approve this?
I think it-
I want a motion on this first, because this kind of establishes Wes as our,
The engagement letter.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the three things I had, financials, cash management policy, and engagement letter. So I sent you guys over an engagement letter. All I'm trying to do on that is move to a fixed price as opposed to the variable rates on those types of things. And we've kind of moved past the cleaning up stage, and we've kind of hit more of a level playing field here. And so that's what the engagement letter is moving towards, is just
So
establishing
the
us.
two things we have to pass on this.
Yeah, so that is us doing basically the same process we've been doing. AP, me coming to a few meetings a year at y'all's request, financials, bank reconciliations, all that kind of stuff, and then managing the sweep account as well.
Why don't you just cover this real quick?
Okay. So the big things, so us continue to do AP. So once they're approved, Cindy's been dropping those off, Sam will drop them off. We get the invoices out, we'll bring the checks, you all pick up the checks, sign them, and then that kind of goes out the door from there. Credit card entry, I understand we're in the process of discussing some of the credit cards. Let me know on ramp too if you make a connection on that stuff. But credit card entries, so once those are back up and running, we'll be doing the credit card entry. We'll pull those reports and do those. We'll do any GL adjustments that we have to make for like the Ed Jones accounts or any ACHs that come out. And then we'll do the cash management, or all I'm referring to there is the cash management policy. So we'll keep an eye on that sweep account, make sure we're trying to maximize the returns and not just have a bunch of money sitting in our cash accounts that don't need to be there. Bank reconciliations, and then the financial preparation that we're doing.
I will touch on the credit card after, in my treasurer's report.
So we need to approve this.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
engagement letter, cash management policy, and the financials. That was kind of like
Taken separate.
three components there. Probably three separate.
Can I make a
portions.
motion to pass the engagement?
I'll second that.
The engagement letter, if there was a cost on there, then, right?
So you just need one of you guys to sign it.
Shows his,
Go ahead, look at that real quick.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
yeah, I've seen it. I got it.
We got it. All right.
You can see it.
Let's have a motion. You had a
We got a
motion.
motion.
No, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carried.
You're hired.
Okay.
I would, as treasurer, I'd like to make the motion to approve the cash management policy.
I'll second that.
Got further discussion on this one that I have a copy of adopted June 12th. That'll get changed, I guess. Is that just put on there, or
That, I sent it last meeting, so
is
that's why that's
that,
on.
that is get changed? Okay, I just want to make sure we. Oh, okay. All right, Tim. Okay, that's all I had.
You got a motion and a second.
Which one is that on?
That's on the cash
Cash
management
management
policy.
Cash
Oh,
management.
okay, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Cool.
And then any other questions on the financials? Do you have a copy of that policy? Original one, so I'll sign that for me.
Yeah,
And I'll get that. I'll scan that in to y'all's permanent record, then I'll keep all this stuff as permanent records for you.
I got a question. I hope it's appropriate in this meeting to ask this, but it's regarding the corporation, nonprofit. We probably need to schedule a meeting for that, right? So, and would you make yourself available for that meeting if we could probably, you think it'd be okay to do that sometime in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I don't think there's a big rush on it. I think the big thing is just the winding down procedures.
Right.
Any residual stuff that needs to be cleaned
Yeah.
up on.
All right, I'll keep that in mind and
Yep.
probably shoot something out in the next few weeks about a meeting day.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Thanks.
If you stay, Wes, I've got something here,
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, thank you.
There's just a lot of information in there.
in case something comes up on this.
Sorry. That's good stuff.
I might as well follow this with the treasurer's report.
Engagement?
Yeah. Did they sign it?
Yeah, Stan signed it, or
Okay.
Steve signed it.
Can you get Don a copy of each one to give to me?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll scan all these in. Once we scan it, we'll come out
His financial
and
still.
then you guys can have it back. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Or
follow,
I can print it.
Go
I'll
ahead.
follow Wes's comments with the treasury report. We did get some German American Commission credit cards. And those will be canceled because it's not what we wanted. As far as Wes being able to access the statements and everything. And we had talked the last meeting about ramp credit cards. And myself, Wes, and Eric were going to get together and see about getting the ramp, which you would have access to.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, the challenge we run into with a lot of the bank credit cards, most of the banks use a third party for that anymore.
Yeah,
And they don't like giving another third party access to them. And so we can't have access to the credit cards a lot of times without using my personal login. I've got an advisor console with Ramp. Ramp is they're kind of out in front of the nonprofit governmental sector. Basically what happens is you swipe your credit card, you get a text that says, hey, don't forget to code this and take a picture of your receipt. So we're using a lot more automation. It's just much more streamlined. So we've had a lot of clients, especially my nonprofit practice, that have kind of been early adopters of that.
I've never heard, I'm sorry, I don't know much about ramp. It's do the banks have that now?
No, it's a completely separate platform. So it's ramp.com. Their rates are competitive as far as like the return, cash returns, that kind of stuff. There's a free version, there's a paid version. It just matters of how much you're wanting to get into. They're kind of going to bat against bill.com, if you've heard of them, or authorized.net. So those are some of the other big ones that people are using. Ramp kind of started in the credit card world and has moved into the bill pay. Bill.com started in the bill pay world and kind of moved into the credit card.
So they need to merge.
So no, don't do that. That never ends up well for the consumer. So don't do that. Let them stay separate.
Bill ramp.
Stay in their lane. Yeah, QuickBooks tried that and it failed. So don't do that. But anyway, so ramp.com, it's just a much easier platform. Like I said, a lot more automation involved.
and the only ones will get the credit card will be the director and the treasurer.
Is any other county agencies?
Not the county agencies. No, a lot of my nonprofits have been.
Do we need a motion?
This is mainly, I mean, so you can handle all the financials. This is what we wanted, to.
Yeah, so
Make
I
it
wouldn't have
easier.
authorization to swipe the card. I would just have authorization to be able to see everything online, basically. And if any transactions aren't coded, I can actually go in and help code those and get them pushed out quicker.
Yeah.
So it helps a
So-
little on that side of things.
The director and the treasurer, the only ones who have a card then from the ramp.com credit cards. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion on that or?
Yeah, I would think so.
I'll make a motion to use ramp and for the director and the treasurer to only have a credit card with access given to Wes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Wes.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Wes.
I have also on my, we need to okay these checks and, or vote on it, to pay Red Stitch, $1,000, and that's our, internet, our
Website.
It's our
I
website.
motion.
We can do all these together.
You're gonna do them all things?
No, separately. I think we need to do them separately.
Separately?
Yeah.
Okay, motion.
Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Here's the invoice to pay PSC, $81.27.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Marsh Terry Associates, $912.50.
Those crooks.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Second.
opposed? Chris?
City of Tell City, $833.33.
Motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'll abstain.
I came across, or Cindy brought to me yesterday, and this is an invoice for Travel Indiana, 1,000. We don't have a check for this one yet, but I don't know if we're gonna meet in August or not. So this is due 8/7. It's Travel Indiana, and it's $1,050. I'd like to have a motion to approve paying this invoice, and then we will get this to Wes's office to cut a check.
Is that in the budget?
Yes. Cindy, it's in the budget, I think. I remind Cindy.
Membership.
Either Cindy, I mean, it's,
Membership.
I thought it was in there, I thought, yeah,
Does Travel Indiana?
yeah.
Yeah, it's not specified, but it is. it's
I think
part
we
of our
cut them a
advertising.
check in 2024, I'm
Well-
pretty sure.
Does that fall under advertising expenses or sponsorships?
Advertising.
Okay, yeah.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Now I have a question right now, if you don't mind, on our August, if we do not have an August meeting, we have 4 basic bills that he's basically, we're pre-authorized to pay. Can we go ahead and make a motion when those come in for me to take to Dawn, Stan, sign them, we pay them?
Makes sense.
That would be
Yeah.
PS.
Those are the basic
Those
we
are the
have to
4, Red
pay, yeah.
Stitch, City of Tell City, Marsh Terry, and PSC.
Yeah.
I make
think we
it,
should do that,
make a
yes.
motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Just
Motion
on the
carried.
city side of it, just make a note that on that check, this abstaining part. The rest of it, I'm totally fine with.
Chris, I've been asking if I can get that bill on the 1st or pretty
Oh.
close to that.
Okay,
We're getting it and I don't have the bill itself, the invoice to give to Dawn.
so you want to buy like August 1st would be awesome,
Yes,
right? Okay.
Can it be emailed rather than me?
I think she emails them anyway. Does she email them or snail mail?
she emailed.
That's what I thought. We've been trying to cut postage and.
Now we have the innkeeper's report for June. And we brought in from the innkeeper's fund, that went into the county's innkeeper's fund, this month of June, $17,721.78. And let me see if I got this over here.
Eric, you're putting heads in beds, man.
It's been going up. It's been going up every month, but I think that's probably the trend, in the summer months and everything. So, anyway, I will be putting that $17,721.78. I will be transferring that over. What I do is I have a form to fill out. I give it to the auditor, and they will transfer that money over. And that's where it's been going. I mean, the treasurer has to tell the auditor to transfer the money. And that's in the IC codes. So, and the all accounts balances, we have a balance total, ending balance of June 30th, $431,033. I mean, $431,333.99. I sent the board, these spreadsheets.
Yep.
We never had this before, but I like to keep a running balance all through the year, and that tells our ending balances. At the end of the year, we'll see what we did. It's easier to find that. So anyway, the 3 small checks that we did get from the state as refunds. This is for the non-for-profit. And when we have a non-for-profit meeting, I'll be saying this, but anyway, I put those in the bank. I didn't want them to get lost, so I just put them in the non-for-profit account.
How much were
Oh, I don't remember. It's a total of 200,
they? $100.
270. It's,
Well, go ahead, Mike.
well, I don't have that.
That's,
I mean, it's, wait a minute, let me help you with, let's see, no. Let me check here. I did print out, to make sure that got in there, went out, the bank statement. And, $200 some. I mean, it's $6 for the secure insurance, I know that. And the rest of it was a refund from the state of Indiana for dissolving the non-for-profit.
okay. That sounds good. Anything else? Dan?
Nope, I don't think so.
Instead, just for clarity, on the innkeeper's tax that we received, or the amount said the 17,721.78. In that number, does that include the Airbnb that goes to the state or the Verbo or whatever? Is that in one of
That
these?
includes all the money that went in to the county.
To the county.
For the innkeeper, then when they take out innkeeper, this is everything.
But like Verbo goes to the state, do they send that back down to the county?
The
And then,
state sends everything back to the county.
okay, I understand. I don't know if it went directly to us or to the county, but it goes to the county first.
No, it
and then to
doesn't
us.
go directly to us. Everything,
Okay,
according to state statutes, everything goes into the state and then it goes to the fund, county fund. I think
Okay.
that's 7304 county fund.
all right.
And then each one of them has an account number. And so I just plug those numbers in and this spreadsheet I've got, make sure it agrees with what the county said that they sent. So,
Thank you.
and I've got all the detail, in here. But anyway, if you got any questions, after the meeting,
But you answered, I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any more coming,
No,
That's not greedy, but
that's it.
that's all we get, right?
We're obligated to go to the state and the state,
I know the Airbnbs do,
yeah.
how that works, but the other ones pay the county directly, I think, like hotels or
Yes,
what have you.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
As far as my knowledge.
Now, hey, you did a
I
good job.
don't have descriptions behind these numbers.
No, I understand.
There's a reason for that.
Yes, that's fine. You did a good job, Stan. Thank you.
Anyway,
Anything else, Dan?
nope, that's it.
All right, thank you. Good report.
Do we need a motion to approve the report?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, we had a marketing committee established with Barry Stiles and Cindy Taylor and who was the third one on that, Barry?
Kale.
Chris Kale.
Yours
And
truly.
Eric this past week, so Barry can do a report on that.
I'll do a quick review. We met last week, Chris, Cindy, Eric, myself, and we did a couple of things. Number one, we felt it was really important to put some focus on Eric's activities. He's roughly 30 days, well, a little bit more than that now, but at that time, about 30 days into the job. And he's really, I think, done an awful lot while he's been here. But we felt we would help him a lot by helping him focus on some priorities to start with. So we actually identified 4 basic areas that his focus should be on. One was the brochure, and he and Cindy are working diligently on the brochure. There were some website updates that need to be updated because the website really hasn't been touched by the CVB for a good while. That was the second one. The third one was to continue to build contact and build relationships with the hospitality folks in the county. That would be the cabin owners and the hotels, proprietors. And then finally, we need to update and really invest in a new exhibit booth for our trade show. So we had pretty specific discussions on each of those 4 areas. In addition to that, we did a first pass of a marketing budget. This is by no means official yet. We've got a budget committee meeting coming up, but we did identify some areas from a marketing standpoint that we want to focus on for the year. So, and I'd be happy to provide any details on that. Or what I was going to do is wait until we have the budget meeting and really discuss the specifics there. So, any questions on that? We're good?
Sounds good to me. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead and do
I have some stuff that I need to pass on to Eric today,
Okay.
marketing stuff. So if you guys will pass it down, that'd be great. Eric, I didn't know you were gonna be sitting so far away from me, dude. This is Toss It to Treader Thursday, by the way.
I can come get it.
No, that's okay, that's fine, they can
Thank you,
pass it
Ben.
down, they may wanna see it too.
Good.
And then here is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're a
That's
passer.
I was looking at you guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then also, Eric, I have the festival guide, and there's the deadline on that. We bought several, they call them subscriptions in the festival guide. That's coming up. They're having an early bird right now. I don't want that to run late, so August 31st, we have to have a confirmation on that, and I have information in there for you. Okay? And then at some point, we actually discussed a Perry County bus, maybe doing a tour. That's been longer ago. So I have 2 options here. One is J-Mart. Jason said they would be happy to put something together for us. And then also Judy Ashby. And they're
Pam.
both kind of local, so you can pass that to him. Eric, you need a binder. I got a binder for you. Okay, and then also at a previous meeting, it was discussed doing bus wraps, maybe signage inside of buses. I had to pick a market to start with, so I would get kind of a feel of how much it would be. And I started with Bloomington because I didn't know exactly what, anyway, that's more
I
information for
thought,
you.
didn't we can that one in the,
That goes in his binder, so he has it for future reference. And then I also have, just have him hang on to it, you may need that.
I guess?
And then Eric, I didn't know if you had the information from the IDDC for the approval of our brochures once those are done, so we can put them in rest areas.
So say again,
Our brochures have to be approved by the IDDC, I think it's called, before we can actually put our brochures in rest areas.
yeah, I talked to Carrie Lampert about that when I was talking about this
Right,
brochure.
right.
And she said it's a very, informal
Kind of
process to make
yeah,
sure they're decent and
But
appropriate.
anyway, I had that in
And I do
my
have that
binder.
information, yeah.
Yeah, I had that in my binder and I am, look. So, anyway. Also, I have booth information with prices and styles. This is out of Skyline, which I really like that company. I worked with them when I was doing trade shows in Las Vegas. So if you'll pass that down to Eric. that's
Skyline does
awesome.
booths.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just some really cool stuff. And Eric, I didn't know if you were gonna need this to talk about the card in relation to the boot,
Yeah, I can bring it up.
yeah, okay. I brought an example. I didn't know if you were gonna need that.
Yeah, what Cindy's referring to is that we had a meeting with Crystal Painter yesterday with Discover Southern Indiana and talking about our brochures and just giving us some friendly advice and just until we get those brochures finished and printed and distributed, to do a single card that could be in place of all those, to put at rest stops or, brochure guides and stuff, or this and that. So just to simplify that.
So something you can just like put a QR code on would
Yes,
Would-
Correct,
be a big help.
yes, yes.
so, and I've not talked to Mary about that because it was just brought up yesterday afternoon, so. But, yeah, a single card going in place of a brochure.
Actually, I'm expecting a call from Mary, and I'll let you know. You'll me to bring it up then?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I'll do what you want.
Anything else, Cindy?
I think I'm done, thanks.
Okay. I just want to bring up on the, well, let's do the director's report.
Do you want me to go into my sports complex or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just made a few notes on it, but these are pretty hard numbers, but they feel there was definitely more than that. But we hosted, of course, we had the dedication of the sports complex at the end of June. And then shortly thereafter, we hosted our first tournament. We had another one scheduled, but the weather had canceled it. We hosted our first tournament down there. And the Saturday of it, at noon, literally, when the whistle blew, it cleared everybody out because the storm started blowing through and it canceled the rest of the day of it. But on Sunday, it was this full-fledged ball tournaments all day. But some preliminary numbers that they had was about 1,200 people were there. I know Eric was there Saturday. Was you there Sunday too? I was just.
No, just Saturday.
Just Saturday, okay. I know Shiraz was there, but we had visitors from like Elkhart, Texas. I mean, we had the hotels from what I was working at the concession, so I didn't really get a chance to talk to a lot of people, but the ones I did talk to said that the hotels were full. That was what, now I didn't go call and verify hotels and cabins, but they said they were full, that's great. This is exactly what this was intended to do, but heads in beds and the tourism aspect of it. But Pick Perry and PCDC, they made these just simple signs here that I think they made by about 10 of them, Siraj, maybe, I'm not sure, that we placed around the park, and you scan that QR code and it takes you right to the Pick Perry page and things to do and places to stay and all that. So they did that. That was I think it was very helpful. In the future, I'd like to get something a little more permanent. We just want to see if that worked, and maybe actually place it on a fence or a sign or a post that all year long people could scan it.
I like that.
And there's little to no cost in it. Those signs are less than probably $15. So that was pretty effective. What we need, well, real quick, Shiraz did a video of the dedication. He's took a bunch of others. We're going to probably put something together in the future, but that's some things that the Pick Perry PCDC is doing for the city and CVB, and also, I guess you could say, no cost. I mean, it's part of our thing. And Siraj, he's done some awesome videos, and so we'll have some
Well done.
PR and marketing material that we can put on our website or put out there about this complex and what it is and great things. But what we need, and I'd love some board members, if you haven't been there yet, I'd welcome you down there at any time. You can, even at this meeting, if you want to go down for a private tour with a lot of people there, I'd be glad to take you. Volunteers in the concession stand, the city is going to be taking over the concession stand. So any income or revenues from the concession will go into supporting that complex and the operations of it. And it's not cheap for any of that stuff, but
It's under its own separate fund or separate account.
yeah, Connie set up she's got all that set up on there. But we're looking for volunteers and groups to help work the concession stand, like pretty much all day Sunday. And half a day Saturday till it rained, I was cooking burgers and fries. Some people like to do that. This is like the old McDonald days, It was pretty easy for me. But we'd love to have you. It really gives you a different perspective of the sheer volume of people. And, you don't need to volunteer all day. Just a couple hours would be great. So we have a tournament this weekend. If you want to come down during the tournament, let me know. I'll let the gatekeeper know to not charge you admission fee because, I think as a board member, we should have that access. And in the near future, I'd really like to invite John and Trish Grass. They do this tournaments, and they have them in Jasper, Owensboro, Evansville, Tell City. I mean, they are the master at this. I want them to come explain to us the impacts and what they do. I think we could really get a good education on it and find out ways to help promote it and make it even better than what it already is. So,
Get them on the agenda, we can put them on the agenda.
yeah, I have to get with their schedule. This is kind of their busy time of year.
Yeah.
But so it might be something maybe as we gear down, maybe October. I know August is pretty busy, in September there's a lot going on, and well, tourism-wise for Perry County, October's a busy weekend, every weekend. So does anybody have any questions on it?
I have a couple.
Go ahead, yeah.
Did you have enough maps?
Yes,
And would you be opposed to me dropping off a case of festival guides?
Yeah,
on there to
please
have our
do.
ads in
Yeah,
them?
yep.
You know, Eric and I talked about doing some flyers and that kind of thing at some point, but the festival guys are ready to go. I got them in the car.
Well, give me a case, Eric. Yeah, I asked Eric, he brought down a large case of those maps, those Terraway maps, and man, there was some guy, and I was at work at the concession, I forgot who it was at that point. The guy, he said, this is one of the best maps he's ever seen, and the detail on it, he just raved on it. But I don't remember who, I need to find out who got that. I think I know who told him that, but they were very handy. Trish had them at the check-in table when people checked in. We had them at the concession windows, and we've got them. Use them up. And from what Derek Cronin said at the poorhouse, and who else was that? Julie's. They said they were slammed busy.
That's good.
So, but the one thing we need to make sure we're doing, and just mention them, we need to make sure we remind them the restaurants, give them a little bit of notice so they can staff and have food. Because
That's a good idea.
And-
yeah.
wherever Casey had left, and we had that thing there, we had a tournament. I didn't tell them that, and they kind of was, not the poorhouse, but there was some upset restaurants that we didn't give them a notice, and I didn't know we needed to. That was something that the director had done, and when you didn't have a director, it just kind of fell to the wayside. But we should make sure we're informed.
Is there a schedule out on those tournaments when they are? What
Yeah.
times and all?
I've got that. Give me to send it to the board, just so we have it, and we can.
think
I
that'd
think
be a
it's
good
on our
idea.
Facebook page,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sure of it.
All right,
I
I'll
would
make a
send
note.
that schedule to all the restaurants too, have somebody just fly out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Actually to the cabins, everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff we want to do. I'd love to send some of our information prior to these events, maybe even a month, if that's even possible, to John and Trish, and let them forward them on to people coming, like lodging facilities, so they can say, oh, wow, there's this cabin, I can call them and go ahead and book a room, that'd be great, and kind of push that information out in advance so they can plan their trip.
It can't come directly from us.
No,
'cause
it
I
cannot.
talked
That's
to-
right.
I talked to John and Trish.
Yeah, but we can give it to them,
But they can blind copy on us.
Yeah. but they'll forward up what we
Yeah,
need to them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that works too.
Exactly.
I mean,
We could do a group email too, where we have all of the lodging folks say, hey, expect this, and the restaurants, team restaurants, hey, we're expecting a tournament, you might want to just give me the heads up on that. So I think we can make that pretty simple
Mhm.
and streamlined,
Yeah.
rather than every- drive around to each restaurant.
no, yeah, I agree. They probably rather have an email or text them anyways, but I'll yield to Eric on some of that. That's kind of his role to probably reach out to them more than mine, I think, but
These events are really great, for Perry County,
yeah.
Tell City, and it brings people in, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring people in, and there could be a lot of offsets from that.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
people saying, well, I like to live there or something, but there's a lot of spin-offs on this type of stuff, and I, for one, on the CB board, support all that
Oh, thank you.
events,
It's a
and,
beautiful facility. I have to
yeah.
say.
And it's going to keep growing. We have plans to kind of keep adding to it and do different smaller things as it goes on. Like right now, we're working on a grant for Chad, playground equipment. And, I know that's kind of small to some, but it's huge to others. And kind of a map of the park when you go down there, like when you go to Hollywood, there's a whole map of the park where things are. We don't have that, but we can do an aerial to show people just, again, a sign on the wall. If you were
Don't
here.
underestimate playground equipment, man, it's expensive.
Oh, I know it is.
I'm working on a grant with Derby right now for playground equipment for the park.
Yeah, it's not
It's
cheap.
an installation is just as much as the equipment.
Well, then you gotta-
have to be certified to install that, so.
And the mulch, or you got different types of mulch. You wouldn't believe that it's actually it's mulch, but there's a study behind it somehow. But that's all I have. I don't want to take up a meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Alrighty. Anything else under the marketing committee?
Nope, we're good.
Pass that to Eric.
She might pass this to Eric.
Director's report coming from Eric. You want to give us a little update?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know if you guys got I sent a letter out yesterday. I just typed up some of the highlights of things I've done. So we're getting there. We're getting there. The other day I stopped by the flags, the memorial at the cemetery, and took some pictures just for future use. And I had this fresh cut grass all over my shoes, and I just spread that fresh cut grass all over the visitor center, the depot, and I couldn't find a broom in the closet. And there's still grass everywhere. So I'm still at the point where I'm trying to find brooms. That's how new I am. So the moral of that story is we're going to get rolling on this thing eventually, but still in the very early stages. I did attend, just to go through this little list, the Louisville Bridal Show back June 14th, and just got some ideas because I just think this county is an excellent destination wedding venue for people that just want to get away from the city, whether it's Louisville or Indy or even Jasper, Evansville, and, have a beautiful venue for, rural area and stuff like that. Got some ideas, talked to Tim Calhoun, who has the barns at Marengo Cave and everything. And it's just something to put on the back burner, just getting a feel for things. I have been meeting with all the cabin and lodging owners. I've not met with all of them. I've talked with most of them. Some of them I still haven't heard back from, but it's been informative getting their take on everything. Excited to establish those relationships and continue on with that. As I already mentioned, me and Cindy Taylor with an I met with Mary Boland from By Chance Graphics Tuesday, June 17th, to discuss the upcoming brochure. I was like, man, I don't know about this brochure. That's an awful lot. But we sat down with Mary and went through our current brochure page by page and used it for inspiration and kind of got it mapped out and everything. And I've begun collecting, plus going through old files. I've sent her over 160 photos, page by page, for whether it's Hoosier National Forest or activities or this and that. And by golly, it's in the works. I started loosely writing some of the content for it as far as how I want to word it and this and that. And gonna hopefully get that to her by August 1st. Of course, there's things like the Schweitzer Fest coming up that I'd like fresh images from that and everything. So yeah, it's looking good. I'm excited about that. So
Eric, we have at Schweitzer, we set up a tent. I think it's a 20 by 20 tent. We call it the information tent. Will you be able to be down there in a few days, pass on any brochures or tourism questions? They typically would, like their tablecloth they would bring and the festival guide and some maps and,
sure.
Maybe guiding some people places to eat in the community, and if they need a place to stay, hopefully they have one by then because they may not get one because they're pretty booked up. But I know that Betty, when she was director, Casey, and even Beth had all kind of, they didn't work at beginning to end, 4 days of Schweitzer Fest, from 9 o'clock to midnight.
Yeah.
But they sat down there and I think they kind of shared a little bit, even with Perry at times, there'd be someone in there. So, and some information you can leave out. I'd leave out your festival guides and your maps would be the easiest because we got a bunch of them. So if they would disappear, it might help us.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
That would, and that would be a good place to show your face there in the tent, that's Schweitzer Fest. And even our board members, we could come and set in for a while.
Eric, do you have a name tag?
What's that?
Do you have a name tag or business cards or
I've got a pretty little button, but
we need to get you like a nice name tag or some polos. Because I know in the past, board members have had even name tags that said, they're board member, and Cindy's been wanting that. I think she's ready. How many years has been wanting
I
that?
have that. I was beginning to bug you about that to get some shirts made from the local, And so I'm on that.
Get you a nice polo or something,
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
easy to,
Nice name tag.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Eric?
Well, no, we had our marketing meeting that was mentioned, and I've just talked to a ton of different people and stuff. So you guys have the detailed notes and this and that, so.
What's on your schedule for this next month or two?
We're talking with Crystal Painter, who is the Orange County director for many, many years. increase our content on Facebook and just build that audience up, starting with just nature-y fun stuff, and then maybe start doing some features on local businesses or a cabin feature and this and that. I think in the next month, I could talk to all of our cabin owners, website updates. There's a few places that need to be added to our lodging. I have the information, I have the write-ups, we just need to, Shiraz has been helping with that. Thank you so much, appreciate that. We've made some just subtle changes already, but, and then meeting possibly with Wes Davis of Red Stitch and seeing what else we could do with the website.
we
Yeah,
talk
and then
about-
just continue, like I said, the big one's gonna be getting that content for the brochure, because I've gone through and I've taken pictures of like the Celtic Cross, just different areas. I've spent hours and hours, old external hard drives and getting, the nature stuff for Hoosier National Forest, river shots, this and that, really putting the pieces of that puzzle together and getting on that. So I feel pretty good about it.
Good,
Yeah.
good deal.
And we talked about doing, Where Is It Wednesday?
Mhm.
We talked about that yesterday, so that
definitely.
could be pretty fun
We used
too.
to find it Friday on the historical
Oh,
side.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Eric,
No, that's good.
well, thank you very much.
Very good, thanks.
Awesome. We'll move on to the Budget Committee meeting. We're supposedly going to do that in about 30 minutes from now, or 10 o'clock this morning, so we got to move it up here a little bit. But in the last meeting, we established the committee members, Barry Stan, myself, and Eric. We had a first motion, but we need a second motion and then approval of the committee. So I need a second motion to get that.
Who first, so we don't double first it? Or
Uh,
do you just want to start over?
Yeah, we can start.
I'll make the motion. How about that
All right.
for that committee?
Need a second?
I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
Okay. So we'll be meeting at 10 o'clock this morning. Are we
Here?
going to, yeah, where are we going? The depot?
Right
It's Commissioner's room.
Oh, Commissioner's room back here. Okay, so we'll get started on that. So, any other questions on the budget or budget committee? All right. Then we'll move on to Betty, if you want to go ahead and give your presentation.
Katie's going to give you some handouts. Thank you very much for letting us talk to you today. I'm Betty Cash, President of Scenic Lincoln Way. Katie is a board member and the chairman of the Abraham Project. She's going to talk to you about that, and then we have 3 other items that we need to speak to you about. And I'll let Katie go first.
Okay, I have a request for funding, and you actually had a form that, I'm not sure who to give it
Yeah,
to,
thank you.
that I was supposed to fill out, so I did, and I just handed it in.
Thank you.
But I'm in the home stretch right now of my project, and if you haven't seen it, it's the Abraham. That's a model of of a real boat that's being built. It's 12 feet wide by 30 feet long. The boat is finished. They're doing final details now. And the boat will be delivered during Schweitzer Fest. And Chris, you might want to write this date down. Friday the 8th, you will be christening the boat at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock at
Friday the
my
8th?
parking lot.
Should I bring the champagne?
I'll bring the champagne. Yeah. And on that day, I will be handing the boat builder the final check of $43,000. So that's why the request for funding. I'm still trying to raise that money. And this is a project that I think is really important. For 3 years, it's mostly going to be educational. And then, of course, the 4th year, 2028, is when we do the reenactment trip that Abraham Lincoln made from Rockport, Indiana to New Orleans, Louisiana. And that should get national attention. And I can't think of another project that we've had that will get that kind of attention. So I think it's very important, very unique, and I hope you give it some consideration. I'm sorry, that's my phone going off, and I hope it'll quit real soon. did you want to talk about the,
Would you want to finish? Are you done with that?
yeah,
Okay, one other, you need to talk about the education of the artifacts.
okay. Yeah, I actually have two more things I'd like to say. They're unrelated to the Abraham project. One is in the depot, there is a cabinet and it has artifacts about the caboose. When the Scenic Lincoln Way was established, you had to have a museum component. And that was fulfilling our museum component. So whatever you do, please don't get rid of that. We own it. Scenic Lincoln Way paid for everything that's in there. And if you ever decide you don't want it in the building or whatever, let us know because we definitely need to keep it.
Where is it?
Chris has that.
It's in the
shared
depot. It's in a.
It's
A glass case.
Well, it's not in a glass, it's on a shelf, it's not even a glass case, but the city has a glass display case we purchased to put some of those things in. It's you've seen it sell, I think it's on a dolly or a cart. The thought was to put those items in it and then push it against the wall where people couldn't pick it up and break it or steal it, help that on it, that's the worst case. But we was gonna put in that back hallway, kind of near the restrooms, that's why as people are visiting the event room or back there, you basically access a lot more.
Can it be locked because
Um,
these are actual
I can't remember.
things?
I think it can be. I think it might have some sliding doors you can put with those locks that you,
Yeah.
kind of the little hook locks. If you guys want to come down there sometime and help set that up or you can put it out in the lobby area of the CVB or office there, whichever you guys want to do. I don't. it's up to
It
you.
was sitting over by the middle window.
It still is.
It had a tablecloth and we stored stuff under there, but it's a replica of everything that was actually used, or not a replica, it's the real stuff. Like when a caboose hung a certain color of lantern out on the back of his caboose, that told the town what was going on, if they needed a doctor or if they needed something or if there were problems. So these are all real pieces that Katie worked very hard to collect from antique dealers. She went to Louisville antique shows and places like that. And that got a lot of talk when people came into the Depot gift shop and stuff. Everyone watched that stuff and learned a lot about it. And we need to continue that for our nonprofit.
So
Okay.
are you asking to move it to the Tell City Museum?
We're just
No,
saying don't
no,
get
we
rid of
don't
it.
want you, we
Okay,
wanted to
gotcha,
let you know
gotcha,
what it
gotcha.
was. It's
why it's
not
there.
part of the depot, it's part of Scenic Lincoln Way.
Gotcha.
Now, the other thing I want to tell you about is something you may not be aware of, but it really does impact tourism. There is an organization called the Ohio Riverway, and it started in Cincinnati, and they are trying to get a section of the Ohio River named a national trail. Okay? Now, Kelly Hess of Paddle Perry is now on their board, and she's trying to bring that trail down. It's already gone down to Louisville because Louisville jumped right on it. They said, whoa, we want to be included. And then Kelly Hess is trying to get it all the way down to Evansville. And as a national trail, it gets promoted in their materials, and their materials are spread far and wide and get people who are traveling the river. So this is something that will truly impact Derby, Cannleton, Tell City, Rome, Troy. And you will probably see an uptick in river travel, but for
I think
recreation.
We remember that, aren't we?
There is Eric, there is a conference coming up in Louisville, and it's $50 to attend. And I think somebody from Paddle Perry is going, I know Kelly might be, but you might talk to her about it,
Okay.
okay?
Do you know when that is? Just
It's in October, but I
October,
don't
okay.
remember the
Okay,
actual date.
I
You're
used to go
talking
to
on
those. Very
Ohio
good.
River
They're
Way,
really
right?
very good.
Ohio
Yeah, I
Riverway.
know we joined that.
Yeah, we
are.
joined that.
Yeah,
a
you
great
should always have
It-
it. There's a brochure back there by the bathroom.
They have a movie, and the movie is really great, and you might want to look for it. It's called The Ohio River, Life, Death, Rebirth, and you can Google it, and it's like almost an hour movie. But at the end, something is very powerful. You know, it shows waterways around the US and the amount of hundreds of millions of dollars, federal dollars, that are spent on them. Is Chesapeake Bay, they splash it up on the screen, Chesapeake Bay, so many hundreds, millions. Colorado River, so many, hundreds of millions. Gulf of Mexico, so many hundreds of millions. Well, then Ohio River, zero. And I mean it, zero. So there has been a bipartisan piece of legislation introduced and is passing through Congress now to get an appropriation for the Ohio River to clean it up and to improve it all.
Do you know, is that a House bill that came or Senate bill?
I think it's
Or do you-
the House.
I thought it was
don't
a
know
House
what they
bill,
said.
I'd have to go back and look at that paper, but I thought it's House.
If you,
Well, appropriations
it's a House
start in the
bill.
House. The Houses, they start their appropriations bills.
so, and it, like I said, it's bipartisan. It was introduced by a Republican and a Democrat, and they are working together on it. It's apparently moving.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's what I
Thank
want.
you. Appreciate it.
Okay, and one other thing, is there a way that we could, I know we have merchandise in the gift shop also, and we've never been contacted about any of that or anything. Some of those items, and those items are what we use for our funding and stuff, but the apples and stuff, those we always sold during Schweitzer Fest. And every year we had to reorder because we sold out at Schweitzer Fest. So I know you guys aren't doing any sales in there, but could we stop by one day, make a appointment with Eric and pick up some stuff that we would like to try to sell during Schweitzer Fest?
Well, I think that'd be great.
Okay? I'll just
We
call.
kind of want to clean that out a little bit anyway, right?
Yes.
And I've had other folks ask or about, they have stuff in there, or at least one other, I'm just like,
If it's there.
Sure,
If
yeah.
it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean-
belong to us,
yeah.
Yeah.
and if you want to come and get it,
Yeah,
absolutely.
every single one of us should have a file folder there. And then you just pull that file folder out and we sign for what we take. We'll take it all if you want to get rid of stuff, if you're never going to reopen that, or we can bring it back. But yeah, we will go ahead and pick that up.
I would say take it all, and then if we revisit.
We'll bring it back.
Yeah, perfect.
Are the files still there?
Yes. Yeah, it's just right there to the left of the cash register.
I'm-
Okay,
I was just
and-
told everything was shredded, so I didn't
Some of
know.
that stuff, may be able to put in the CVB tent, you know,
Is
just,
this the hats too?
Uh,
The little train.
you know?
Yeah.
You know,
And there's a lot of
Really the
whistles.
stuff that belongs to
Yeah.
us.
yeah, and I don't know how we distinguish what belongs,
We're gonna make
I don't know
sure.
if we have those records or not, what belongs to Dewey, okay. Cindy's got it.
So you'll make an appointment with Eric?
Yeah, I'll just call when he's available and we'll run up and get stuff.
Perfect.
And then a couple other things, Katie touched on the dedication of the boat. Yesterday, Scenic Lincoln Way had a meeting with the Perry County Development Corporation and the Perry County Chamber. And we're not gonna be able to do the spectacular grand ceremony that the sports complex had, but we are gonna have something really nice. The boat will be in Katie's parking lot, as she said, August the 8th at 10 a.m. The mayor is on the agenda to speak. Aaron Emerson will be speaking about how it affects Perry County, and Scenic Lincoln Way will be speaking. We'd like to invite you all to be there. Eric, if it, any way that you could touch a little bit and introduce yourself and speak about how it will affect tourism in our county. We're gonna have Abraham Lincoln there. We've making a list of media notices to go out. We're gonna stretch and not just do Evansville. We're heading into Louisville and a lot of the river cities. So
What's the
we
date?
hope
What was
August
that?
8th, right?
August the 8th?
August the 8th.
Okay, that's the
Friday
same
at
time as the
Schweitzer.
boats.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, yeah. Yeah.
So you can
Your parking lot's on Main Street?
Yeah, right at her residence, 300 block of Main Street. So,
Well, they can't.
Hmm?
Okay.
so we'd invite you all there.
What
We're
time was
not,
that? I'm sorry, I didn't, what time was that?
10 a.m.
10.
10 a.m. And we'll have it on Facebook and stuff, but we probably won't send out invites. We
I'm
can't
not on
afford.
Facebook.
All right, we can't afford to do that either. The other thing, Katie presented the paperwork that you asked us to fill out and the information. I'm sure that you'll take time to talk about that. So what is the next procedure? I know what it used to be. I don't know what it is now. Do you reach back out to us if you have any questions concerning funding that we're asking to help support this boat that will bring tourists to Perry County? Or do we just come back to another meeting to hear about it? Or how do we work
Well, I
this?
heard you say that you might not meet in August, and I really would like to have this money involved in the check that I have to hand him on the 8th. So if you could, deal with this sooner than later,
Well,
then.
we have a budget meeting right after this.
That's the
Oh, okay.
2026, but, we're talking this year, you want. It's not in our budget for 2025, but,
No, it's not. We'll have to look at it.
We'll have to get back to you.
Okay, and you have, I think, Katie, you got phone number there if they have any questions or anything.
Everything's on, yes.
And if you have any questions, just let us know. We'd be more than happy to come back and talk about it. It is something that is going to get a lot of attention.
And just as a parting comment here, the worst problem I've had with this project is so many people don't know what a flatboat is. And flatboats, they brought 3 million pioneers here, and they were active in the first 70 years of our national life. And I have about a 40-minute spiel. If any of you are interested in hearing it, I would love to give it to you so you're educated on this matter, because it really was the first 70 years of our national life. And then, and all life is centered around the water. It's why all our river towns were established. There weren't roads and everything. And it will stay that way until trains come in, and trains will reshuffle the population of America around train lines. And that's when river towns start dying out and train towns start picking up. And then that will change when cars and roads come in. So,
Interstates and.
transportation has decided where people live.
I have a question on that. I don't know any details or anything, but your LLC, your 501 C3.
Yeah,
No.
it is
I do
not,
not know any details, but it wasn't insolvent.
it wasn't. And we did not know that until your meeting in February. We filed our report. We filed our report last year, but we needed to do one more step. And
We got the letter
I
saying
was-
that we were being recommended.
Yeah, we
and
were
had
already
60 days to
approved.
file. That's all we did.
I'm not the person that did it in the past. I just did it last year. So we did not know that we had to follow the second step. So I didn't do it. So then when Katie came to speak to you in February, we learned that it wasn't active. So we tried to reactivate it, and we were able to do that to a point. But now that we're doing the boat, that put us in a different money bracket. So that put us in a different status. So we had to go because our budget before in our in and out money and all the past was nothing. Katie, the total amount of this boat is how much?
The boat itself or the project?
The whole project?
Okay, $128,000.
$128,000. So that put us in a category that I, as a layperson, couldn't do it. So Katie and I went and met with Chris Goffman and Wes Terry, and they are getting our status back. We're actually waiting on a letter. I have contacted Eric about this. Wes sent us an email earlier in the week, and there is a letter that our address had always been 333 7th Street. In the past, the Perry County Conventions Bureau worked very well with all of the organizations that tried to support them. So that was our address. That was our mailing address. So somehow, and you'll have to have Wes explain this, I have email from Wes that I could forward to you, but the address could not be changed. Our letter telling us that we're okay, that goes to the next step, has to come to the depot. So Eric has been watching for it for us. Once we get that and take it to Wes, then Chris Goffnett files with the state and then will be reinstated.
So currently, you're not.
Currently, we do not have an active status. No, we're not.
And the flatboat falls under scenic
Legal
Lincoln
way.
Way.
Yes.
But if we want to say donate to this project, we don't have to necessarily write a donation or a check, whatever, to Scenic Lincoln. Could we write it directly to the builder of the boat?
You could do that. You could write it to Scenic Lincoln Way. I've been processing.
But they could also write it to the builder of the boat.
You
Who's the
can.
builder?
John Cooper of Gallatin, Tennessee, for his 25th flatboat.
I've been kind of mulling this over in my head for about 3 months now. You know, next year in 2026 is birthday of America.
Yeah.
200
Yeah, 250.
or 250, yeah.
So is there a possibility that that flatboat can be more here as sort of a tourist attraction during that July?
It's
4th?
here
It's
until
will be here.
2028.
It will be here.
Okay,
It's
okay.
at Rocky Point.
Katie's
And
already
so-
secured a
Yeah,
slip
it's
and
a
everything.
Slip at Rocky Point.
So I was also mulling over the idea of a war reenactment. Would something like that have pull for you guys? I mean, I've really been mulling this over, trying to figure out how we can, you know.
Yeah, or a Lincoln reenactment. Indiana has dropped the ball on, you
I
know,
agree with that.
what are
The
they?
celebration, the
Yeah,
birthday
Indiana
celebration,
250. Ohio is
ITA
all
is
over this. They
struggling,
have events that are starting this year and
Right.
continuing through next year. And we have nothing other than something down at the, monument in Indianapolis that's scheduled,
Yeah.
probably on the 4th of next year.
I did sit in on an ITA meeting and it, obviously that topic came up. And
It's
even
going to be available.
the executive directors were like, you know, what can we do? And they're struggling too because they don't know, you know, and we do have a county historian, which may be able to help us put together something too, of which I also
I
think
think
that's
it would be
great.
marvelous to have this boat as, and it would
Yeah.
highlight the southern part of Indiana.
Yeah.
And you have Shublo Village up the road there.
Well, actually,
so-
we partnered with Shublo Little Pioneer Village, and Katie is going to be taking the boat
The boat
up
would be-
there during their fall open house and also during tour, kids tour times. She'll be doing, they do tours for the grade schools, and Katie will have the boat there.
Yeah, the week following their big open house, since it'll all be cleaned up and everything ready, we're gonna try to get school kids to come there during that.
Now, will they be able to board?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a set of stairs that will be put up to it.
Gotcha. And
This would, on our part, this would be a donation and not buying a share of the boat.
No, it would just be a
A
donation to
donation,
help, I mean, and that's what your funds are for. That's what that
yeah,
forum is for people that bring you heads and beds.
right. And it's the same form that all
Yes.
clubs fill
And
out.
your clubs fill out and
that,
everything,
Yeah,
yes.
that's the
And that's what we're
that's the
asking
former part.
It's just, this is a very different project that we've not seen before, this is not, fishing tournament weekend. This is gonna be a 4-year project and,
Yeah.
where it's available here. And then a real spectacular finale.
Down to New Orleans.
so
And
how
if
should-
any one of you want to make that final trip, let Katie know. She
Well, that's
is,
part of our mission statement is to
she's
promote.
booking that right now.
And,
Yeah, no, the final trip.
All right, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
But I would like to see a finalized,
We wanna get together and talk.
LLC, get everything all straight with the state.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll be straight with the state, but just like you just brought up, the events and that stuff, those people aren't nonprofit either. You know, we're asking for a donation, you know, that shouldn't matter.
What you're saying is that whether your organization is
I can thank Major.
a 503C or not.
It should not matter, because you give to the food club, you give to other opportunities, they're not.
I look at the liability part, you know, I'm finance, so, you know, I look at that liability if, in case something happens.
Yeah.
Things happen, and,
Well, we
I do
have,
not want the CVB, you know, to be any way responsible for anything that
okay,
happens.
well, we do have insurance and insurance on the boat and board insurance and all that. That is not affected by our sales. We have all that.
And that has to kind of be in our record too, because,
So we gotta move on.
you know.
All right, hey, real quick, I mean, I know Katie's been and presented us 2 or 3 times. Is there any way we can give some guidance and at least some direction or a vote or something? Because I mean, I feel like we just keep kicking the can. And I mean, she's been at least 3 times, maybe this might be your 4th, requesting money or talking about it, if nothing else. And, you know, I mean, we've got,
We're gonna have a budget meeting here after a while, so we'll be discussing it in there and then we can get back to them.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just, because I mean, if you look at our finances combined with the nonprofits, still we have $431,000 in there, 56 in the nonprofit roughly, and then the other, you know, balances in the government side, the commission side rather. I mean, I know our budgets, you know, I just like to do something sooner than later. I don't know if it's 5, 10, 20 or whatever, because I think this is a tourism opportunity. And it's pretty unique, I will say that, and I don't know if anything
Yeah,
like
it
this.
belongs in league with what you see going up and down the Ohio River. You see the LST from Evansville, you see the Pinta, you know, Columbus's reenactment boat. You see, apparently a Viking ship went through the other day. And I mean, this is in that category, you know, it shows past history and keeps it alive.
I mean, I like maybe the budget can meet and we can schedule a special meeting, or even, you know, we've got money in the nonprofit one, we could even take it out of that one if we wanted, or the donation, or some of it even.
I will get this application scanned and sent to everybody. I think it's fair. Everybody needs to
Yeah.
see the application that
Okay.
was sent, so.
All right, sounds good. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Thank you.
I have a grandson that would love to have that.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
The first money outlays.
We're down to about 15 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta go. We got a few minutes to go. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys,
Um,
thank you.
The next is coming up is the annex that was requested by Stan, I think you and Cindy.
Cindy and Stan, yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
I would like for us to make a vote on whether we utilize the annex. There was talk about not staying at the depot before, and to get that rent we're paying in the depot that basically houses all of our files, and we're no longer having meetings in there. And I would like to utilize the annex office space and put all of our filing cabinets in there and make an office. And the director would be in there every now and then, but I don't look at the director being in there all the time. You know, our director should be out and about, and basically, as far as I'm concerned, he can work from home. That's just me, but anyway, I would like to utilize that annex, so whenever we do not renew the contract, if we do not renew the contract with the city, our filing cabinets will already be out there at the annex. We won't have to worry about moving that stuff, and we can be proactive in putting it in there. And I would like, you know, as a treasurer, I would like to go in and in the office, and because some things I put on my computer, I like to offload, put it on the CVB's computer. And so anyway, that's my thing. We need to just move our filing cabinets. And that's all I look at it as utilizing that space for our filing cabinets having the director place to land, permanently addressing, whatever address that is, and have all of our mail go to that particular location.
I did take Eric Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember what
Maybe
day
it
it
was
was.
Tuesday,
I
yeah.
don't know now. But out and let him tour the offices and the conference room and everything. So just so he knew what we were talking about.
Eric, you had a chance to look at that space.
Yeah, I know, I mean, just speaking completely objectively here, that all the heart that went into that depot and everything, and the visitor center and the gift shop and everything, and all the hard work that went into that. And it's such a nice facility and everything. I know the downfalls of, so to say, of the annex, as far as, what else is in that building and stuff, or, hosting visitors and this and that, probably not appropriate for that. But, right now, the depot is not a visitor center per se. It's not a gift shop. It was those things. And now it's an office, a very, very nice office. So I want to support the board, any whatever they see fit for me. We're in here, this is week 6. I don't want any hard feelings, but I do understand the advantages or disadvantages of moving out of there. So I'm good with whatever you guys decide.
Well, I agree with you. That the depot is a really, really good place, and we can promote the depot. It doesn't mean we have to be in there. And so anyway,
Gonna make a motion? Make a
I
motion?
think, well, we got discussion, or
No, we're still discussing.
discussing.
I think doing any of that's a terrible idea. I think we've got a good location. I mean, moving the files, if that's a concern, if they don't renew it, is something that could be done in a day anyways. Doing it now, doing it later doesn't change anything, in my opinion. You're just gonna be paying rent on something now that you're not really occupying or using to go out to another facility. While it may be at zero cost, there's a reason it's zero cost sometimes, I don't think it's conducive to tourism. I don't think it's got a location that's easily identifiable. As people visit Tell City, as I just said, there's 1,200 people here, visitors to that sports complex or attendees, to tell them if they want tourism information and go sit down and meet or get brochures or learn more about Perry County, to send it out to the Army Annex where we have autopsies in our health department. Those two can work together in some ways, health department and that EMA, but I don't see tourism as a good partner in that. Tourism would make more sense to have an office here in the courthouse, even if that's the case, just because of the location. But out there, no, I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's a step back in tourism for Perry County. At our March meeting, we had a room full of people. Joseph Gwynn, the hotel developer, he mentioned even paying our rent a month. That was a problem. I think Derek from the courthouse even had mentioned it. But they all spoke of how important having that is. You've got a developer investing millions of dollars. You've got the poorhouse who has 10,000 visitors a month, he stated. And we want to move our tourism office. We're in the center of these great things that's happening to move us out to a residential neighborhood kind of in the middle of, I'll say nowhere, but in the middle of an area that's just not conducive to foot traffic. The idea is a tourism center, you want that an easy identifiable location where people are driving by and can find it. I understand you'd mentioned 37, and those ideas are great. We mentioned even the intersection on 12th and 37 at one time even, and that would be a great location. But to change addresses, that's a lot of work on that he's going to have to put in, and I see it as a huge, huge mistake when it comes to tourism, because the depot, well, it doesn't have the gift shop. It is a tourism center. It can be once it's open. All you got to do is really turn the lights on and turn the sign on. It says open, and you're ready to go. You've got your brochures. You've got a great counter. You can have your booth set up in there. You can have interactions. You can have just even an exhibit in there on the flatboat or anything to bring tourism in there. Special exhibits from the Indiana Historical Society. You could put something in on steamboats. I know we're not a museum, but it's free. It'd be kind of cool to set up in there. You don't have that opportunity out at the Armory. You're literally stuck in a broom closet out there with a little window. And I agree, Eric needs to be out visiting people. That's important. But those he can do that on Mondays and Tuesdays and have the visitor center open, Thursdays, Friday, Saturday, or Wednesday, whatever, so many days a week. But you've got to have a place for visitors to come and meet at and visit, regardless if it's a gift shop or not. I'd be shocked to find a community that would, in the state of Indiana, that would take their tourism office from what we have now to something like that, because they have to have locations. I couldn't imagine them doing this in Du Bois County. I couldn't imagine doing this in French Lick. I mean, think about it. I mean, I just couldn't see them doing it. I think we'd be taking so many steps backwards it wouldn't even be funny. So there's my spiel.
I want to comment on that. That place will still be there. We can have brochures in there. We can point to it. We just don't need to be paying $833 a month rent.
The
We can
CVP.
utilize the other area as office space, and I don't look for, as people coming to there, to the annex. They can go to the depot and get the information if they want to.
Who's going to be at the depot?
Eric will have freedom to roam where he wants to go,
Giving Eric 2 offices, that seems more work for him then. He's like, well, which office am I at today? That one or this one?
There won't be 2 offices. The depot, the lease runs out next April, I understand.
Mhm.
So unless you let us out of our lease, we're obligated to pay that lease until next April anyway.
So what if you renegotiate that lease? Because, under the original terms, they only paid $150, and it was kind of a triple net. And yeah, I get it. There were some concerns people had, valid. I don't disagree with that in some degree. But I mean, they actually made money at the old location when Betty was there. I mean, or I should say they made money. They only lost like $1,000 a year. But that was when Casey was there. But I mean, when
I
there
didn't even see those books. I saw the other ones. We didn't make money the last 2 years before I got here.
No, we're right, but I could show them to you because the CVB got all the income from the event room. So every time there was an event over there, a wedding or reception or a show or whatever, that money that the renters or paid for the facility went right to the CVB's checking account.
It doesn't happen anymore.
No, because they didn't want to do that anymore. They didn't want the director to run the event room. They wanted, so I mean and so the city runs it. But you say you want to leave in October or April. You never know. You could renegotiate that lease where it may be either smaller amount or free too.
150?
It may be free too. It may be $150. They may pay you to stay there. Then what? I don't know. I'm just saying. I think
We're negotiating.
Well, I don't know. But I think we're jumping the gun by wanting to do this now.
We're saying right now, we want to utilize the annex office and put our filing cabinets in there.
We already have a place for our filing cabinets. Why move files? Because if Eric needs a file on Bristow and he's down at the depot, he's got to go out to the Armory now to get that file to bring back to the depot. He can't be driving back and forth.
Can I say something?
I'm sorry. This is.
No,
I didn't
that's
expect you can. I didn't expect this to be on the agenda the way it was tonight or today. I think if the public was here and saw this, they'd be understanding the financial side, yes, but you're still paying there up to this point. Why mess with moving filing cabinets?
I have to agree with that. But as somebody who is at that building every day, this is my concern. There's a baby box there.
You're there every day.
Yeah, I'm a volunteer at the coroner's office. You didn't know that?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the depot.
Oh, no, well, I don't know. What kind of dating are we?
I know you're volunteering, believe me, I know that.
So, there's a baby box in there, the health department is in there, and they're bringing families in, and there are a lot of sensitive kind of conversations. There's autopsies done in there, there's a morgue in there, the EMA is in there. There could be a possibility that dispatch may move out there.
That is a second back. There is a second backup dispatch center
right.
out there.
There's a dispatch unit there now. So that's my drawback. And I feel like if we're already paying for the depot, I don't understand why we need 2. I think it's going to make more work for airing. Because it's gonna be running back and forth. I mean, his time is valuable.
You would not need to
You know,
go.
it'd be more convenient for me because I live right down the street. I can just walk over there, you know. But those are my concerns, and I'm sorry that I probably stepped on some toes, but that's just kind of how I feel
So-
about that.
Could I speak again?
Absolutely.
The one thing, like, let's just say this is a conceivable, because I don't know how it was before I got here, you know, when there was a visitor center and a gift shop and everything, that like every national parks visitor center has, they've got the park rangers that work there for the center, and then they have separate, that are totally different, not for the National Park Service, but like vendors that operate the gift shop. And they kind of work hand in hand, but those park rangers are out and about doing things. Again, this is just kind of an example, but, I don't know if, like, I met with a cabin owner like Monday at 9:00, or I met with, the Blue Heron folks, the Dobies at, Friday afternoon at 5. I don't know if I could have set office hour, or, if the board, I don't see that conceivable. It's just me taking all this on, wearing many hats. But if there was a separate entity that could in fact run a gift shop, man the visitor center with office hours, sitting there on the phone, then those two could couple together. But I don't know what that entity would be.
I've had an entity reach out to me about doing that, but until this nonsense or whatever it is stops, we're never gonna get back on tourism.
Chris, is it?
This is insane. We're even having this discussion. We have been discussing moving and different locations for 2 years, and that's part of the reason tourism has suffered for the last 2 years in this county, because we cannot get back on it and get back to tourism. We talk about moving our offices to these places that make no sense.
Chris, do you realize that it was your director that started this conversation?
My director,
Our director,
thank you.
Started what conversation? I'm sorry.
about moving.
Well, that director is the director,
Which director?
Casey,
and
Casey wanted to move?
yes.
I mean, I don't recall that, and if I'm wrong, fine, I'm wrong. But I'll call her and ask her after this meeting.
Ask her where the files are too.
Yeah, just ask for a motion.
So, but I mean, it's just, I just can't understand.
It's not right now.
We have the best building, the best location that tourism could ever have. Tony Papano, God rest his soul, worked his tail off to get that for this community, for tourism, to make it better. Katie, his widowed wife, is here continuing to work for tourism and trains and all that. And we want to just go out to the place where the morgue is, where last time I was out there was an odor, if you don't remember, and kids crying, getting shots. Yeah, welcome to Perry County. Let's check out the odors, check out the bodies while you're here, and get you a shot. I mean,
That's not what we're utilizing for.
you're going to be out there.
We're going off the rails right now.
Of course, because your idea is off the rails, okay?
Well, because we think differently.
And that's
Chris,
fine.
I
Because you
understand, it's
think one
very
way, I think,
sensitive.
but you're not attacking us for what we want, and it's gonna come down to a vote.
Well, I just don't understand the reasoning. I've tried, I really have, even when we went from a commission to a CV, or CVB to a commission, I was very open to that, even though things didn't quite go the way I figured they would with Eric's position, and as far as him being a contract and a county employee, but I still went along with it, trying to be open to new ideas and work with them. And at some point, I just got to put the brakes on and say, this is one where the line is in the sand, that I think this is a huge mistake. I think this is setting tourism back in Perry County. And, we've got this sports complex, we've got these great things going, and here we keep going backwards and not doing tourism.
Is there a reason we want to set, I'm just asking, is there a reason this is coming up now? I mean, like they said, we have the depot till April.
Yeah, it's on the agenda, just annex.
We need to tell the commissioners we're gonna utilize that area. And I don't see us dragging how we can be dragging our feet. And if this opportunity came up, and to me, it's utilizing that office space and moving our files in there.
We don't, in my opinion, we don't need to utilize it. We have office space already that we've got. We've got more than we need even. So why move it to a place where we don't need it and let the county rent it, make money, or use it for another entity that really doesn't have a place to go maybe? I mean, we do. We're set up and ready to go. I just can't see, because I know you say for our files, well, then Eric's got to go out there and get them. Then it's going to be, well, guess what? Eric is, it's going to just might as well put his computer there since his files are there. It's just a chip away at the block to do it.
It's gonna come down to a vote.
I know, and I'm sure the votes are there. It's fine.
I'm,
I feel like I have no voice on this board. I'm outnumbered
Well, I'm really,
in many ways.
let's call for a motion. Anybody want to make a
Steve,
motion?
may I say one thing? Those wooden file cabinets are not to be taken out of that building. They do not belong to the CVB.
I was told they were given to the
They were
CBB by
given-
the mayor.
Huh?
No, I got those file cabinets. They are my file cabinets. When I began there in March of 15, there was one file cabinet, and that's the one that's in the copy room. The director had no file cabinets. I got those file cabinets. I can show you the proof of it.
Yeah, we need the documentation.
And I hope it's still there. In my last meeting there in May of 22, I left the board with the instructions that they were not to leave that building.
You know, Betty, I can almost promise you whether we move out of there or not, they ain't moving. I
Okay.
can't see moving those
Okay.
big old file cabinets.
I just want you to understand, move all your papers, but those drawers do not, those 5-drawer wooden file cabinets that I had to pay people to haul, and several men to pick up, do not leave that building. They do not belong to the CBB.
This seems to be falling along some pretty established lines. I'm just trying to figure out why do we want to leave the depot? Why?
Excellent question. Besides, if you took money out of the mix, why do you want to leave it?
I think and this is I'm one
I'm just
person,
trying to
one
get
opinion.
to the actual issue here.
The CBB, as we have known it, as Betty run it, as others have run it, is not the CBB we're moving to. We have a new director. He has new ideas. We're not going to be a visitor center per se. We don't have a gift shop anymore. We do not run the convention center part. He's not there most of the time we can't afford to hire somebody else to bring in and sit there. If the city, we've said that for over a year now, if the city would like to bring somebody down even to sit in the gift shop would still be open. But we don't have the funds to have a director that we want and hire part-time people. But I look at it as moving in a totally, we're going to do tourism. We're going to promote Perry County. We're not going to get into all this other stuff that has been gotten into for years. That's
Like what's
my
I'm sorry.
opinion. Like all these little things that goes on, the farm to table, all that is somebody else is dedicated to that. You know,
We can promote all that.
yeah, we will promote it, but not actually do it or fund it in that way.
Well, I look at, we're paying $833 a month just to house a few filing cabinets in.
You're paying that for a visitor center, and I didn't know we voted to not have a visitor center anymore, so that's news to me.
Are we having people going there now?
We've kept it closed to give Eric an opportunity to get his feet wet and take time to read over and get ready. And
Could you put some money from the city in there, some offices in there from the city? You had talked about that once before,
I think at one
a
time
couple of
we
years
had
ago, that
ways
you might have somebody that could run it and make more money than what you were making.
We've had
at that
entities
time.
interest, I've had an entity reach out to me within the last 60 days, maybe 90 days, that had expressed interest in partnering and helping doing the gift shop and things like that, but they had reserved because of the the way things in the CVB and the commission has been kind of going lately, they weren't sure they wanted to get involved in that yet. I thought things were calming down with the new director, but it sounds like there's still an agenda that I don't understand. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's just me thinking that. But I just didn't know we were voted to get rid of the visitor center too now. So to do tourism and no visitor center, man, I just don't see it possible.
Once we get out of the lease, we have all kind of options. You know, we can go more centrally located in Perry County. We can,
But centrally
our
located,
options are open at that point.
centrally located, while I understand your point, you also need to be where the most foot traffic is going to be as far as easily accessible if somebody wants to go down there. If I have a bunch of people coming to Perry County, I want to be able to easily send them to a location. If I have a bus or 20 people or 5 people, it's easier to send them down there to where it's at now or somewhere in the more populated area where they can go there, get something to eat, visit that, go walk behind the river, maybe take a train ride or whatever. If you put them somewhere more secluded but centrally located, you lose all those options in a lot of ways. I mean, you do.
Send them to Derby, you've got a restaurant, you've got a community center, you've got the river. I mean, so that's, my problem is this has been a Tell City run Main Street function for 30 years. We are Perry County, and Perry County needs to start being shown. And,
So are you not wanting to promote Tell City?
no, I'm not, I did not say that,
I'm asking. That was a question.
no.
No, we promote.
Or yes, I want to promote Tell City,
Okay.
but the county. We've got the northern part of the county that does not probably even realize there is a visitor center
Where-
or ever was.
We're on our brochure. Does it just what does the front of our brochure say? Does it say Tell City downtown? I even have a picture of Tell City on the front of our current brochure.
You need a
No.
motion.
Okay. Has it ever? My point exactly. You make the statement that it's promoting downtown Tell City all the time. When was the last time the CVB has promoted something from Tell City?
Well, let's move on here.
Exactly, because I put the thing on there about the sports complex, which I saw very few board members even attend. Have any of you, who's been down there so far? Let me just ask that.
You don't need to be attacking the board.
Well,
Come on.
it just upsets me here because this getting, and I apologize. I shouldn't attack you, and I do apologize. I do retract
We
my
just have
statement.
different thought processes.
I apologize. I didn't attend the first tournament, and I know I was invited to the ribbon cutting ceremony. I had less than 2 weeks. I had a previous engagement. I'm just the only one there.
No, you reached out and told me. I understood.
And I wanted to be there for you. You know, I'm just
And I
trying to
think
get a nut here.
And I do think y'all have good intentions of being part of it. I do. I just kind of, that hurt a little bit. That's all. I mean, and maybe it's just my sleeves on my shoulder kind of a feeling, but it did hurt a little bit because we
Well,
did.
just if we vote one way or the other, doesn't mean we're moving out of the center. That's, we never.
To me, it does. It's a chip away at the block that, well, his files
I
are
don't
there.
think it needs to be done right now.
Might as well move the computer out there.
I agree with Barry, you know, that we've got,
We've got some momentum building.
I appreciate the heart, the love behind that depot. And I understand it's a financial thing, you know, on one side of the coin, you've got, you know, say $833 a month. On the other side, you said, this is it's an attractive building. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's welcoming to walk in there. You know, we got neat lighting. There's displays there. I understand just not wanting to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. And maybe that is something we could take. We say we've got till April of 2026, or, you know, to make that decision. I know I could conceivably just take everybody off now. I want to be as accommodating as possible. I
mean, the CV has the opportunity to make money down there, like they did. They have the opportunity, if they want, and it's their choice, what direction they want to go in, and that's fine.
No, I said that.
Well, that's gonna
Make 'em
improve
move
things.
fast.
I haven't seen that, but,
I'll be glad to sit down with you,
well,
and show you some of the numbers. I have.
Steve asked for a motion, and I will make a motion for us to utilize the annex and move all of our filing cabinets that belong to the CVB there, and use that as an office and a storage area. There's 2 rooms there. So I would like to make a motion to utilize that area.
I will second that.
Second motion. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
I need hands.
hands?
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye, with the
And-
preface that the location is not appropriate for tourism.
So it ties with lack of motion. Or
What was it?
it tied 3-3.
Okay. Move on.
So will you notify is that in this for now? I mean, do we go to the commissioners that we are not using it, or what does this do to it? 'Cause I want to
would
see this
say
on the agenda
that
every
We
month.
would have to tell the commissioner that.
It didn't pass.
We couldn't utilize it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the August meeting. I think there's a number of us going to be out of town during that time. And then last year, I think, in the past years, the Strassen Fest is held at that time. Schweitzer Fest on that. And so I guess we won't have a meeting then in August.
It would be August 14th, right?
Yeah, I'll be gone. I'll be out of town.
I'll be out of town
Steve,
too.
Barry, and me.
But August, I mean, Schweitzer Fest the week before, but it's the second Thursday, right? Of the
Yeah, the 14th.
I mean, Schweitzer Fest be over, then I mean, I'm available. I mean, if that's what we want to do.
Historically, we did not have a meeting
Because it was
in
always during
August.
Schweitzer.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's not. I mean, I'm fine having
Didn't
it.
we also skip December?
No, we normally, December is just a short one. I
And
think
then
we
the
just,
Christmas party.
yeah.
I will be out of town on the 14th.
So 3 of them are going to be here, so
There's no quorum.
there's no
Do you need
quorum
a
really.
motion not to hold a meeting in August?
Or have a special one if we need
I'll
to.
make that motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Who seconded that? Steve? I think Steve did.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Thank you.
Steve.
So you get in contact, for the September meeting, it's going to remain the same, second,
Yeah, we're gonna have it on the agenda the next time.
okay.
What on the agenda next time?
If we stagger meetings.
Stagger
Gotcha.
meetings, we talked about stagger
Well,
meetings.
we're
last
already scheduled here through the end of the year, so we have time to make the decision
Yeah.
moving forward in January.
time. That's fine.
I'm fine. Staggering her.
Alrighty.
I have one more thing, and I meant to say this, I sent it to everybody about our trailer. I just need permission from the board to contact, I probably will go through Brandy, I think it's Brandy Hess.
Brandy has.
Is that the one at
It's
the
the
museum?
New Cannleton?
It's Cannleton Foundation, Inc.
Cannleton.
I actually, by luck, ran into Rob Moskis yesterday morning at the bakery and explained to him, he said that Cannleton Foundation Inc. has been dissolved. I didn't research to see if it really is, but he was the president. I trust his word at that. And I told him what we had going on, like we're trying to figure out what to do with it. You know, do we want to own it, or do we want to transfer it to the commission or to another, a chamber or something? And he seemed really open to the idea of maybe transferring it to the chamber or Pick Perry kind of group, if that's what we want to do. And then we're out of the trailer business altogether. But I think I'd like to get a letter from him saying that, if that's okay.
What about the
Who
council on that?
uses the trailer?
Everybody, Rome uses it,
Mhm.
Callington uses it, anyone that has an event. All it
Nonprofit.
ever cost the CBB was,
I'm just wondering, is CBD
License.
the proper?
No, that's what I'm
You need to
just gonna
have.
say, this is not the board that needs
No,
to
the
do.
CDD
I mean,
board would have
we
to
need
actually do
We
it.
need to have a meeting with the
Yeah.
non-profit, with a lot of discussion on.
I'll get that letter from Rob, or an email or something.
Confirmation.
Yeah, and then I'll bring it to the nonprofit, and then we can, you'll get that taken care of, because it's important. There's been a lot of people's been inconvenienced by it. Rome's gonna be the next one probably to use it, I think, in October.
Right.
So we want to get something probably figured out by then, because to haul tables and chairs of a trailer in the back of a pickup truck,
So are we willing to donate it to another entity?
we have to, we can't sell it. I don't think.
So the chamber or PCDC be someone that should take that over?
It would, yeah.
PCDC
It would
chamber.
have to go to another non-for-profit.
And the
Yeah.
Council on Aging may have some interest too. I know they're always.
They went and bought more tables.
Oh, shoot.
They had their further thing. They didn't want to move them.
Aw.
Yeah,
Their events.
that's something we have to
That's
discuss.
My
that too.
point with that, Barry, was there was an agreement made with County Foundation when we.
But they have
obtained that.
first,
Yeah.
and they're not an entity anymore.
The new council still
Right?
exists.
That's not
Right,
them.
the board
It's
members are,
It's
some
different.
of the board members are on this new, so I don't know how that transitioned. That's why I wanted to talk to him.
And I know that PCDC would be interested in taking that over. If that's what Aaron said,
Give
but
us
it'll be.
something that had stipulations.
Yeah.
It seems to be outside the scope of what we do.
We'll just give it to us. It was
Orange
good.
County rents out their
Move on.
seating stands, Barry. They have stages and seating stands that they rent.
Who does?
Du Bois County. CVBs do that. That is a service to their people that make the money.
And bring to. I agree.
That's an expense they could not afford.
Motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Yeah, that last one, if that kid's the worst, you gotta write a check for us, we can just go ahead and, since we okay